to evaluate Ed's speech. I was originally very hesitant to do it. It sounded very hard and challenging, but as I got into it and I was writing it, I feel very fortunate that I was the one that got to do it. Today, Ed used Toastmasters in the way that I think Toastmasters was meant to be used for, and that is to practice a speech that you're actually going to give and get some feedback and really polish it before you really give it. And I really commend him for bringing this speech to us. I've thought, I don't have a eulogy to write, but I've often thought, like, this is the perfect place to do it if I could bring myself to do it. And I really commend him for being raw with us and emotional and just being himself. I like that he turned what he called just a song introduction into an actual eulogy. I mean, if I was introducing a song, I can tell you that it would not have been 6.5 minutes long. It would have been some very short statement that I couldn't keep it together for. And I think the way Ed writes and the way he thinks is just fantastic. And it was a beautiful introduction to the songs that Pat wanted sung at her funeral. I like that he wrote down his speech and was actually reading it. I know that normally Toastmasters tells you to just write an outline and just kind of wing it, but I think the fact that he wrote it down and he was reading it was absolutely perfect for this situation, and I wouldn't recommend changing that at all. Especially his comment in his email that he didn't want to get lost in his own thoughts. I think that's really important. And Ed knows himself, and he knows that he could get lost, and just writing himself a roadmap is perfect.
Yeah.
I also like that he had Pat's Bible to show. It gives a really homey, intimate feeling to the speech, to the introduction. The gestures were amazing, which I wasn't expecting to even notice during this speech. But every time he told us that the Millennium Tower sank 18 inches and tilted 14 inches, he did the exact same gesture. And that really made it cohesive and powerful. And again, I wasn't even expecting to notice anything about gestures in your speech today. And in general, I just really liked the Millennium Tower analogy. I think it really tied everything together with Jesus Christ being her bedrock and the Millennium Tower needing a better bedrock. I think it was a really nice story that made it, not that the whole thing shouldn't be about Pat, but just she was living in the same world that we're living in, and we can think about how what we know tied into what she was living. I was originally not going to try to come up with any suggestions because I really thought it was amazing, but Ed asked us to help him, and so I did try. And most of it was actually just kind of in the beginning. Let's see, let me get his speech up. So you say that there were some blank pages in the front of her Bible, and she wrote some references and comments, and then you say one is a reference to Psalm 116:15. I don't know if that's needed to be said or not, unless it's really relevant. And if it is relevant, maybe give it a little more explanation.
Yeah, good.
Because otherwise, it just felt like not a blip, but not important, maybe to the song choices, since that was kind of the direction you wanted the speech to go.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe you could say she wrote many references and comments. One of those comments was called Songs for My Funeral, and maybe kind of work that sentence that way.
Yeah.
And then the other one was that I wasn't exactly sure wasn't exactly sure why Because He Lives was chosen. And I think it was because Jesus Christ was her bedrock. And so I think maybe after you say, sorry, I'm just looking at what you said, that when the magnitude 8 earthquake, and you talk about the cancer, and the very end of that blurb, Pat was grounded on the bedrock of Jesus Christ, and then maybe say, and that is why she wanted Because He Lives to be sung at her funeral.
Excellent.
And then pause and then move on to when they were teenagers, just so we know that, that you're talking about the two songs.
Yeah.
Like I get that you introduced them in the beginning, but maybe just confirming this is why and then this is why for each song.
Yeah.
Those were the only two things I could come up with. Again, I really, really appreciate you bringing the speech to us. It was a pleasure to hear it. And I guess I wish you the best for it. I really don't know what to say. I'm still very sorry that you lost Pat, and good luck with the eulogy.
Thank you, Kim. It was hard to evaluate a eulogy speech. You did excellent. An excellent point. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, I want to echo as you